12:30 in Nevada is 12:15, apparently. So you guys have gotten moved up a little bit. Thanks for joining us today. Can you guys hear us all the way in the back there? Is that good? There's lots of speakers back there. So thanks for joining us at DNA. If many of you may not know what DNA is a fund. We manage 5 different funds. We have a liquid token fund. We have a high yield fund. We have an algorithmic trading fund. We have an AI compute fund. And we have a venture fund. So my partners, Scott Walker and Brock Pierce, right over there, have been picking some of the best deals in crypto since inception. And they are now running the Helix Fund inside of DNA and are finding new amazing deals. We've made lots of investments this year in different projects. Lots of you who are here. And inside of DNA, we have something that's amazing called the DNA Deal Desk. And if you haven't seen it yet, please visit the DNA Deal Desk. Sign up there. You can invest alongside us, Scott, Brock, and the deals that we're picking. And we negotiate transactions with everybody there, and then we let you negotiate or join along with us. So, Brock, you want to do an introduction here for the team that's coming out? So I appreciate you all joining us here today. Thank you very much.
Well, hello, Bitcoin Vegas. How do you like those all-time highs? How do you like this momentum that we're seeing? I mean, most of us have been in this business a minute and understand what choke point 2.0 was. How many of you had your bank account shut down? How many had been debanked? How many of you had lost sleep, worried that the government might come after you for trying to build a brighter, better world and serving your country and the generations that follow? How many had dealt with that? Are any of you concerned anymore? Do you feel good about our future? Do you feel supported by our government finally? I know I do, and I'm so excited having seen this radical change. It's like BCAD. It's like going from night to day. And so we're very blessed to have a friend and one of those great leaders who ran for president of the United States, joined our President Donald Trump's team and campaign, eventually leading to that success and co-founding Doge, and is now running for governor of the state of Ohio. So we're going to have Vivek Ramaswamy here. So excited for his leadership as we move into 2026 and his incredible vision and support for Bitcoin. Can I get a great round of applause for our next governor of Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy?
Good to see you. Thank you. Great group here, guys. Love it. Look, I want to be a governor in Ohio that sets a standard for the rest of the country in the United States of America. Because I'll be honest with you, I have never been more optimistic about the future of our country than I am right now. We're on the cusp of a new golden era for the United States of America. And I want us to, I speak to my own party when I say this. And Brock, I want to thank you for that warm introduction for the people in this room. We're done with the era of yesterday's politics. I think that's behind us. I think if 6 months from now we're still talking about Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we lost the plot. Because it's up to us to now accept a new reality, which is that in November of 2024, we won. We won not just for the Republican Party, but for the United States of America. That's what's far more important. And I am ready for America to reach our brightest days still ahead of us. Now, in the state of Ohio, I'll tell you a bit about the state I'm running in, and I'll tell you what the stakes are for the future of the country and what we want to do for the future of financial freedom, including digital asset freedom, including crypto freedom, including Bitcoin in the state of Ohio, which I'll get to in a second. But our state, the story of the state that I'm running to lead, is in some ways the story of the United States of America over the last decade, over the last several decades in the last century, which is remembering what leadership actually looked like. In the 1950s, 6 of the top 15 wealthiest cities in America were in my home state. We led in glass production, rubber production, steel production. We were the computing power engine that led the first industrial revolution. We were the state where Neil Armstrong and John Glenn grew up to become the first man in human history to walk on the moon, the first American to go into orbit. That's a state where you grow up with that self-confidence when you're at the leading edge of a state in the top country in the world. It gives you the confidence as a kid to achieve the things that you were previously told were impossible. The state of the Wright brothers taking flight at a moment where that was deemed impossible. That was Ohio. And what I want to do is to revive not just our state, but our region and set an example for our country to say that we can be that state again. If we led the way in the first industrial revolution, we ought to lead the way in the second one. And that means not just leading in the sectors of the past, but also leading now in the sectors of the future. It won't be rubber production next time around. And we're going to have to accept that. That's a reality that's part of our past. The question is, what is actually our future? And to me, that includes sectors from semiconductor production to nuclear energy, from biotech to Bitcoin. And I believe that this is our moment as a state and as a country to embrace our future rather than to resist it. As many of you remember, I ran for U.S. president with a clear crypto policy platform that I stand by as the next governor of Ohio, continuing to stand for self-custody of assets without the government getting in your way. It's an important part of freedom to have actually the ability to own and self-custody your own assets. To be able to use the power of blockchain for public reporting, transparency to the public on how your money is actually being spent. But it also requires embracing the economic growth offered by Bitcoin as an asset class. And that's something I'm going to be talking about more later today. Because if we think about what is the number one challenge we're going to face over the next 20 years, not just the next 20 months, which is the obsession of short-term politics, but over the next 20 years, what are we going to have to get right to save this country and lead America back to greatness? It's going to be our path out of the national debt crisis that we're in today. Right now, we have $36+ trillion in national debt and growing. And the big concern is that $36 trillion doesn't even include some of the unfunded federal entitlement programs. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare stacking up. Just last year, $3 trillion spent on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid alone. What is our path out of that quagmire? I believe next year when we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, we're going to have to sign a new Declaration of Independence along with it. That is a Declaration of Independence from that federal entitlement state, a Declaration of Independence from the government, a Declaration of Independence for Americans that includes freedom for America, includes financial freedom for Americans at the heart of it. Economic growth is our way out. And I'm going to give you guys some math. I don't have the slide behind me. I'll put it up at the conference later today. Just some simple math. If a kid started, right, just in there, we could think about their parents funding it, themselves funding it. You could think about put the source of funding to one side. But if a kid started with $10,000 on day one, and it's compounding at 15% a year, we could talk about whether that's a reasonable assumption or not. And I think Bitcoin plays an important role in this. But if that's compounding at 15% a year, that's $166,000 by the age of 20. That's $660,000 by the age of 30. It's $2.6 million by the age of 40. That's a generation of multimillionaires using the power of what Albert Einstein called the most powerful force in the universe, which is compound interest. Compound interest without decay. And I believe there is no future of financial compounding of 15% in this remainder of the 21st century that doesn't include a discussion about Bitcoin being integrated into that portfolio. No discussion that doesn't include digital assets being included in a well-balanced portfolio. And if we're able to turn that into reality, where do we begin? Start with financial literacy, starting in K through 12 education. That's driven not by the federal government, but by governors of our 50 states. I believe we have to integrate not just basic training on math, reading, and writing, where we're falling behind China and other countries, but also to integrate financial literacy to prepare for that future starting at a young age, to include education of the full range of asset classes available to our youth in the 21st century rather than in the 20th, where I do believe Bitcoin will be an important asset class that they have to be educated about starting at a young age. And then we'll take a further step of looking at whether or not we take that vision and really turn it into reality by putting some more meat into it. Suppose every kid in the United States did start with $10,000 fully invested in long-duration assets, compounding at 15%. What would that cost? It'd be about $37 billion a year. It's a lot of money. But it's certainly not as much money as the $3 trillion a year we're spending on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for an entire generation that can be independent of that entitlement state. That's the conversation we're going to have, both amongst Republicans and Democrats alike, if we're actually serious about saving this country, if we're actually serious about leading America to our economic golden age ahead. An entire generation of Ohioans will be born in January of 2027, when I hopefully take office, who won't have those programs available to them. And I think a much better alternative is to celebrate a generation of millionaires that we create right here in the United States of America by allowing every American to participate in today what the wealthy use, which is compounding, owning assets that compound to secure our financial freedom. That would be the Declaration of Independence that I think Thomas Jefferson would sign if he were alive today. I think that's an attitude we're going to have to embrace if we're going to really unlock the true potential of our country. A country where we don't play the victim card, but we play the victory card instead. We're not victims, we're victors. We don't whine, we win. When we rallied behind the cry to make America great again, that's what I believe we hungered for in this country. The unapologetic pursuit of excellence in the United States of America. The revival of that American dream that we don't hear about enough in our politics anymore. One that's deeply personal to me. The kid of legal immigrants to Cincinnati, Ohio, who came here almost 50 years ago with no money. In a single generation, I, as their son, went on to found successful companies, now on track to lead that very state where I grew up. The extraordinary thing about that story is that it's really not that extraordinary in the United States of America. That's what makes this country great. We ought to celebrate success once again rather than to villainize it, to embrace the power of compounding and the ability to generate wealth and keep your wealth without the government standing in your way, but instead actually rolling out the red carpet for every American to live that American dream in my home state of Ohio and across this country. We've been taught to let that American dream go. That's the psychology we've fallen into. But I'll tell you, we're going to keep hodling on. And the reality is, as we're the state that put the man on the moon in Ohio, that's the state I hope to lead. We want to send it to the moon again. We want to be a state that embraces our future without apology, not just chasing the darkness of the past and cursing the darkness. That's yesterday's politics. Tomorrow's politics is chasing the light, chasing the actual dream instead of cursing the nightmare. And if we revive that, our kids are going to grow up in a country far greater than even the one that Thomas Jefferson signed into existence 250 years ago. On to the next 250. You all are an important part of that. We've got your back. Keep creating, keep innovating, keep chasing growth, keep chasing excellence without apologizing for who you are and what you do. And it's the job of your political leaders to celebrate and create that culture, to get out of your way, to allow Americans to innovate as we always have, to create and generate success and wealth without apologizing for it. You guys do your part. I'm going to do mine. And I promise you, America's best days are still yet going to be ahead of us. Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.